Hey there, welcome back. So in our previous video we have touched on inheritance, and today we will proceed further. The first thing which we will check is if we try to directly access these values which are there on our classes, maybe vehicle class or maybe bike class, then what would be the outcome? So let us quickly check that. For example, if in place of bike.engine we try to access some specific property which is not initialized, then what would be the issue? For example, bike.lights, then let me show you the output. Then it will give us null. Why? Because definitely we are not initialized these properties. Moving forward, there is one more thing. For example, this lights as a private entity, then what would be the outcome? If there is an entity which is a private entity, then that value or that property won't be inherited to the child class. As a result, now Eclipse will start complaining, and if we execute this program, then there would be a null pointer exception, right? So there would be an issue. And in fact, this is not an null pointer exception. This field vehicle.light is not visible. So that's an exception. Alright, so this is again one thing. Now friends, the overall idea of inheritance and the overall idea of programming is not what we are doing. This is only for demonstration purposes. Now moving forward, we will make things more professional, and I will show you how things needs to be handled in the proper way. So let me get rid of all of these stuff. Moving forward, we will make all of these properties as private properties. So let me do that. So usually all of these properties in the classes would be a private entity, and we would be making use of constructors in order to initialize and work with these properties, which is nothing but the best practice. So let me do the same with bike class, car class, and the truck class. As soon as we do this, definitely none of the properties is now available to us. And for example, if we try to create an object of car class, then nothing is exposed to us. So let me show you. And I type in car dot, and in here we won't be able to see any suggestion, and none of the properties available to us. Neither the child property nor the parent property. So none of these properties are available. Now how to access these properties? Really easy. First of all, we would be creating a constructor. We would be creating two constructors. In fact, one would be a parameterized constructor and second would be a default constructor. Let's take help of Eclipse. Let's deselect all of it and let's create a default constructor. Now what is the usage of super? This is something which we will again discuss in a couple of minutes. Moving forward, let us get rid of super. We won't require it in here. We will require it later down the line, and we will discuss about super. Alright, moving forward, let us create yet another constructor. This is a parameterized constructor. Now friends, we have these constructors, and vehicle is a parent class, so we can skip making a call to the super method. We don't require it. Alright, so we would be doing one more thing. Inside this default constructor, let initialize these property with some default values. So let me pause this video real quick in order to do the same and save some time. Alright, so now we have this default constructor where we are initializing these private properties with some default values, and we also have a vehicle constructor which we can use to add in some custom values, right? So this is cool. Now when it comes to this bike class, in here situation will differ a little. For example, let me create a default constructor. So in here, when we are creating an object of this bike, then definitely the object of bike will contain the public property of this vehicle class as well. Apart from that, using this bike object, we must able to access the constructor of the parent class as well, so that we can make use of these values which are available to us, and based on our getters and setters we can like access the value of these properties. So this is a little confusing. Let me show you this constructor in here. In this constructor, we are making a call to this super method. Now, what is the super method? Super method is nothing but the call to our default constructor. Whenever we are hovering upon this super method, in here we can see this path. The path is org.studyeasy.parent, which is package, then vehicle is the class, and vehicle is the constructor, and this would be the default constructor. Let me add in yet another constructor, which would be a parameterized constructor. Let me show you how we can do it real quick, and here we go. Alright, so now we have these two constructors. One constructor is the default constructor, second constructor is the parameterized constructor. So let us quickly check the demo.java. In here we have already created an object of bike type, and in here we are making use of the default constructor. Now if we check the suggestions, in here we are not able to access the properties. Definitely the properties are the private entity and we won't be able to access those. So what is the solution? We can like generate getters and setters. Now in here, there is no need of generating setters because we are setting the value directly using the constructor. We have the constructor using which we can set the values, right? So we will simply generate the getters. So I will navigate to source and generate getters. So we will select for getters and we will click on finish. Alright, so this looks cool. And let me check the suggestion, and here we will able to check out this option, which is get handle. Alright, so this will return a string. So if I place this code in between system.out.println, then we would be able to output some thing, and that thing is nothing but a text, and that text will define that what kind of handle this bike has. So let me run this, and the output is short. So this is amazing how easily we are able to get this. Now what happens to the property which are there in here, right? So this is cool. Now in here, in order to get the values for these properties, again we would require getters, right? So let us generate the getters for the same. So I will right click, navigate to source, and I will click on this option, generate getters and setters. I will click on this option, select getters, and we will click on OK. So we have the getters in our parent class again. So whether we would be able to call it directly from bike object, let us check. So I will type in bike.get, and here we go. So we are able to call in the methods directly from our parent class, which is amazing, right? So for example, we call in this method get engine, and again we will print it directly using sysout. And this will give us some output, and the output is petrol, which is amazing, right? So till now we are simply making use of the default constructor, and we are not making use of this parameterized constructor, right? So these two constructors are unused till now. Now how to check the parameterized constructor from the parent class and from the child class is something which we will see in our next video, and that would be interesting. Hope you guys enjoyed the video, and this inheritance concepts are a little tricky to start with, but definitely these are really important and you must know each and everything about it when it comes to object oriented methodology. Alright, so this is Chance signing off. Take care and have a nice day.